Hi and welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my review for Great Pretender, Netflix original anime, and it's season 2. Determined to rebuild his life, Makoto parts ways with the team and returns to Japan. He lands a job but doesn't know what he's gotten himself into. So season 2 consists of 9 episodes, so much shorter than the original 13 from season 1, The Case Wizard of Far East. What I need to say about this series first and foremost is that if you haven't seen the first season, that's okay. I feel like this should have been watched as a whole, as one singular event, one storyline. It shouldn't have been broken up. I think this would have worked much better as a whole story rather than be broken up, because the first part is good and I enjoyed the case by case storyline, but what we see in these 9 episodes is how much of this detective case has been, well, detective case, con artist case has influenced season 1, and so it makes season 1 so much better. In season 2 we get the backstories of Makoto, we get the backstories of the father, we get the backstories of our two main protagonists. We see what makes them tick, we see a plan that is being shaped over a great many years actually, and then this one case. So we only have one case in season 1. We had 3 different cases. This is the 4th case, but it all is influenced from what happened in season 1 with Makoto, and it even harks right back to the first episode. Right from the first episode, you know, we have a case of this story being influenced by those events, and we see all of these stories being tied in nicely together. It's very much Ocean's 11 once again, but what they do here is they show us a little bit of the plan, or how they infiltrate these 2 mafia boss houses. One was birthed by the other, and we see how our group infiltrates them because there's drugs and there's sex slavery and there's money to be made, and they want to put a stop to this. So Makoto's first job is obviously going to get him involved with this con artist group again, and then we feel like the viewer, I think as a viewer, you feel like this has always been part of our main protagonist plan, and as the story unfolds you see how much of a plan that they had. I feel like for the most part, like, you never really feel that much in peril for our heroes, because you feel like they've always got something going. But then the story kind of twists on its head a bit, and you're like, oh, are they going to be saved? Maybe this is not how the plan is meant to be going. And so you're kind of wondering how much they are just going with what happens when the plan changes and shifts, and it doesn't quite work out like they're expecting, or there's events that they couldn't have foreseen, and so they adjust to the plan. Or you're wondering again, hang on a minute, how much of this is still part of the plan? And I like that, because it's always keeping you guessing. You think you know what's happening, and then it reveals a little bit more. So the story shows you a bit how they infiltrate it, or they kind of show you that, oh, this is their plan, and it goes back a bit, it does some backstory line, and then it shows you how they got to that moment. You're like, well, why are you showing us this? Surely this would be the thing that you do at the end. You know, the Scooby-Doo reveals the mask. It's that kind of revelation. But the more they do it, the more intricate you see that their plan actually is. And so by the time you get to the last 2 episodes, you're like, oh my gosh, how is this going to end? And the story went so much more bigger and so much more interesting for those last 2 episodes. I was like, wow, this really was all part of the plan. Once again, I would suggest watching in the original language. Don't watch dubbing. It's always better to get those nuances, although there is a lot of changing of language because we have Japanese, Chinese, and English. So I thought that made it actually more cultural relevant, more really interesting. I like the mix of cultures and how they kind of butt heads. I thought that was very, very interesting. Once again, we have the jazz score, which is prevalent throughout the series and just adds another nuance. We have that really interesting animated artistic style that lends to Capers and Ocean's 11 style storyline. So that all is exactly like we had, very vibrant in color as well, exactly as we had in season 1. And so you just kind of sit back into remembering, okay, this is what happened, this is what it felt like. It does take a couple of episodes to get into the story, and it takes you know, just those first 2 episodes to realize, oh, this is one of those stories where there, you know, you have to kind of be in it for the long haul to really understand what's happened. You have to sit through the 9 episodes. It's easily bingeable. I thought it was very interesting. Like I said, once you get past those 2 episodes, you're invested again. You start getting invested with those characters. There's definitely a moment in the middle where we get a bit of backstory from our main protagonist that adds so much weight and levity It's definitely the darkest case. The first 2 episodes, I'm like, whoa, should you even be going here, guys? To do with selling kids. So that obviously pretty dark genre, but so you're very much invested right at the beginning. We also have a soundtrack that's very secular but seems to work in the mix of the jazz as well. And then we have just the way they wrap up all the arcs. So there's so many arcs, so many storylines, but there's one main arc that is very, I guess, expertly transposed from original content to this. And so by the time you get to the end, you're just like, well, that really, really worked well. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I should say that there is an ending end credit scene. So there is a slight storyline that's left unanswered, and you might be thinking, well, I guess so that's what happened, that's what I thought was happened, but I was hoping that maybe there was a different outcome. Do watch to the end of the credits, because there's a little clip there that will have you smiling, and that's what I was. I'm going to give this a straight up A. I really enjoyed it. The soundtrack, the score, the voice acting, the story was great, and the pacing was excellent. So I thoroughly enjoyed where they went with this. I could definitely enjoy watching more of this. So chat to me in the comments below. Which season did you prefer? Do you agree with me that you kind of need to watch this in a whole? I think I would have preferred it as well, because I like the first season, but I like it so much more now in reflection of what's happened in season 2. So I thought that was great. Let me know in the comments, are you looking forward to season 3 if we're going to get one? And what do you think they should do in season 3? Thanks so much for watching this, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long on Tuesday.